If you're wondering why I'm standing again with a red Mazda hatchback, well, the last time I drove a Mazda 3 Sport was 2 years ago, and it was the 2.5 turbocharged all-wheel drive. This one, however, is the 2.5 naturally aspirated front-wheel drive, and yes, with a manual gearbox. This is the only way you can buy the Mazda 3 Sport with the manual gearbox, and to spice it up even more, I have with me one of its ancestors. This is the second generation Mazda 3 front wheel drive manual with a naturally aspirated. Essentially, this car is the true spiritual successor of this model. Let's see how this fun little compact car is. So let's start this video by talking about the older car. Well, I say older, but look at it. It's so fresh. It still looks so good in this day and age. So what is this? This is a 2010 Mazda 3 hatchback as it was sold in North America. But this was still called the Sport in other markets, which is what this car is now called in 2025. So this also has a 2.5 liter naturally aspirated engine, produces about 168 horsepower, which is lower than the new one, is front wheel drive, and this one has a 6-speed manual gearbox. Well, essentially this is the older version of this. It's the hatchback. It's still very spacious inside, and it still feels very well built, which is what Mazda has been carrying forward to even the new cars. I would say that this feels the best built compared to all its rivals, and this one still felt the best built in its prime days in 2010. Now that we're done talking about the older car, let's talk about the newer car. This is a brand new 2025 Mazda 3 Sport front wheel drive 6-speed manual with the naturally aspirated. If you want to buy a manual gearbox which is in a non-sporty car in this segment, this is your only option. You do not have a manual option in a Corolla or a Civic or an Elantra. So if you are the one that is a bit of an enthusiast but wants a dailyable, comfortable car, then this literally is your only choice. The 2.5 engine makes about 180-185 horsepower. It's extremely spacious in the back. But not the most spacious, because I think the most spacious is still something like the Corolla or the Civic. The boot is also decently sized. You do have the option of the sedan as well on the Mazda 3. This is the hatch, and the hatch does compromise into headroom, legroom compared to the sedan. So if you do want a more spacious version of the 3, the sedan is the one to get. When you compare both cars, you can still see lots of common elements that Mazda carries on 15 years onwards. So you do have still twin pipes on both cars. You do have nice subtle spoilers. Well, Mazda has always been a sporty brand, and it shows. 15 years on, they still look very, very good, and I would say the best looking cars in its segment. Even this was 15 years ago, and currently this is also one of the best looking cars in the segment. I'm now behind the wheel of the brand new 2025 Mazda 3 Sport 2.5 naturally aspirated front wheel drive with a 6-speed manual. I've repeated that so many times over the video. I feel like I've almost remembered it in my brain, and I'll probably see it in my dreams as well. So let's get the numbers out of the way. This has a 190 horsepower engine, front wheel drive only. You can, however, opt for the all-wheel drive, but then you can't get the manual. So this engine is available with an all-wheel drive if you need it for Canadian winters, but then you lose the manual. If you want the manual, this is the only specification or configuration that you can get the car in. Also, as I said, this is the only car that you can get a 6-speed manual without going into the sporty segments, because the Civic Si has a manual, the Elantra has a manual, the GR Corolla, but those are way more expensive and much more hardcore sporty enthusiast cars. So this is much more of a relaxed family car that you can have good fun with. So let's see how it drives. Slot it into first, and you'll instantly notice that the clutch is extremely light. Like, the pedal movement is very positive, it's very light. The shifter is so easy to use. As you can see, I'm very effortlessly just going through the gears. It's extremely easy, and that's what I meant about when I said that this is the only commuter car that's available with the manual. All the other cars are much more enthusiastically tuned, so the clutch is sometimes difficult to live with on a daily basis, or the shifter is a bit too heavy. This is just very nice, very relaxed, and I appreciate that in this day and age Mazda still provides an option of a proper manual. There is no rev match and stuff, so this is completely analog. If you want some fancy shifts, you'll have to do all the heel toe business yourself. But yeah, it's really nice to drive, and well, all Mazdas are. The handling is top notch, the chassis, the agility, the front end points in so well, the steering weighs up really nice. Having said that, I feel like because this engine might weigh a little lesser than the turbo, the front end is much more agile than I would say the all-wheel drive and the turbo variants. It's very darty, you can point it to a corner, and the ride is very nice as well. I am on some bumpy patch of road, and this car does have 18-inch wheels, but you don't feel it. It rides really well. As I said, you can totally daily this car. This car is made for dailying. So I should say the other way around. You can daily this car and occasionally have a lot of fun if you find your favorite twisty B road. It's actually really fun. Honestly, I can't call out any faults. The engine is a bit loud at higher RPM. You do feel like there is sometimes more noise than go, but that's just nitpicking, honestly, because it's still fast enough. This thing will still do 0 to 100 in, I would like to believe, under 8 seconds, which is sufficient. See, if I have it floored in third gear, and it pulls really well, very cleanly towards the red line. It's not unrefined in any way, and overall it's actually just so relaxed and so nice to drive. Enough power for day-to-day use, for merging onto the highway, for overtaking on the highway, for city use. It's very easy. Low end torque is very nice. You never really have to slip the clutch. Modulation is very easy. It's very difficult to stall the car, which is, I think, very important trait for any manual car. Having said that, because this engine is very big, 2.5 liters, you do have to pay the price a bit in fuel efficiency. So this car does not have any hybrid options. It's pure internal combustion engine, just no battery tech. So in the city you will get about 10 to 10.5 liters per 100. On the highways you can get 6.5, 7. I've been averaging about 7.5 on the highway. It's not bad. But if you look at the segment, the Corolla, the Civic, everything else, the Elantra have hybrid options. And once you consider that, this car doesn't stand a chance with fuel economy. But none of those cars are as fun to drive as this or have a manual option. So you have to compromise a little bit here or there. But yeah, what can I say? I've had a lot of fun driving this car over the week, and I'm genuinely surprised that in this day and age a car maker has opted to provide a manual, and one that is so slick and so smooth and very fun to drive. In conclusion then, if you are in the market for your first car, or you just want a reliable, fun to drive, sensible car from the 2010s, this would really be my option. It's practical, it's fun to drive, and I think it also has one of the lowest insurance group of all its competition from that era, and you can get a clean one for roughly 5,000 and below, and that's very achievable. So I think it's very value for money as well. Coming to the new car, this GT 2025 version is roughly 34,500, 500 extra for the paint, and roughly 2,000 extra for freight and PDI brings the grand total to roughly $37,000. And I think that's perfectly in tune with all the cars in its segment. Well, none of the others do have a manual, so if you want to keep the enthusiast in you alive while still having a practical family car, the Mazda 3 Sport is your real option. And I've had a lot of fun driving this car over the week. I love the manual gearbox, I love the engine, everything is such a delight to use, and it's so friendly. I mean, I've been blown away, and if I were in the market to buy a manual commuter car, this is my only choice, and I wouldn't have one regret.